Welcome to another edition of A Closer Look. I'm Mark Shine with Mark Miller. The 15-minute clock is running. We got a full schedule
Let's
here.
go.
Let's get right to it. We're going to go to our review games right out of the chute, and I have a great football game. That is Columbus Grove and Jefferson from last Saturday night over at Stadium Park. Now, you think, first of all, when you're dealing with this game, well, Grove comes in at 1-6. That's right, but Blake Reynolds has a 62-yard touchdown pass to Caleb Barrentes, then another touchdown pass of 31 yards to Trevor Taylor. It's 14-0 Grove out of the chute. Jefferson scored before the half to make it 14-6, but then Davian Tyson with a touchdown pass, and that ties the score up at 14-all. Columbus Grove scores again, and then, Mark, we're going to get to this play right here. At this particular point, Jefferson trails by 7. This is a touchdown run by Brennan Hour, and watch that play. If we get it back up again, it's a touchdown pass to win the game right here. But if we can put that play back up again where he scores that touchdown pass or touchdown run by Hour, here's the touchdown to win the game. Let's talk about it first, Mark.
Well, this is Tyler Bratton throwing the ball to Cole McKee for the touchdown. They lined the wide receiver up in a tight end location, ran him on a chair or a wheel down the sideline. He was kind of uncovered, and he got in there. Now, this is the play that Mark was referring to earlier, a handoff to Brennan Hour, and Brennan does what Brennan does best, and that's break it. But look at Bratton catch up and knock down the only potential game-saving tackler, and Hour goes in for the touchdown. That is great hustle by a quarterback to get downfield and make a block.
And here's that play again. Now, my question is, how many games in your career did you get 25 yards downfield and get a block?
Oh, never.
Never. Jefferson goes to 5 and goes to 6-2, 4-1, hang in the conference.
All right, let's go to Perry and Riverside. Perry 29, Riverside 20. You know, Perry started the season 0-3. Since then, they have gone 5-0. And this was a huge win, maybe the biggest win in the program in a long, long time. Quarterback Louis Hurston, running back Shane Overly and JT Taviano get all the pub because they're the guys that make it happen on offense, but the lines on both sides have gotten better. Riverside's a good football team, a chance to win that league, and now Perry flips it. They've got a chance with who they're playing this week to win that league.
And we'll preview that game a little bit more later on. Let's go to Paulding and Ada. Tell me if you heard this story before. Paulding's 1-6, but they're ahead at halftime, 8-0, thanks to a Drew Lumpkins run and a 2-point PAT. Ada comes back in the second half. Seth Conley to Aaron Everhart, plus a 2-point PAT to Chase Summer ties it up. And then Everhart with a 1-yard touchdown run and kicks the PAT. It's 15-8 Ada. Paulding won't go away. Jacob King scores from a yard out. Jacob Elbin runs in the PAT. It's 16-15 Panthers. With 3:29 left, Everhart scores from 1 yard out, kicks the PAT, and Ada wins 22-16. How about this? Time of possession, Paulding 35 minutes and 30 seconds to 12 minutes and 30 seconds for Ada. Paulding ran 66 plays to just 40 for Ada, but the Bulldogs win and go to 5-3, 3-2 in the conference.
Let's go to the WBL where Kenton beat OG 35-30. Here's the way it went. And Kenton led 21-0 and 28-3. But OG didn't quit. They fought back and made it a 35-30 game. Isn't that what Ken Schreiner's teams always do? They just keep playing. OG, Daniel Beamer had 25 carries for 138 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kenton had 527 total yards. Big game for the Wildcats at Elida on Friday night. We'll look at some more of their stats later.
All right, let's move on to our stat stuffers this afternoon. And Elida beat Shawnee 56-16, partly because Shawnee turned the ball over 5 times. But Isaac McAdams, another great game, 18 of 25 throwing the football, 197 yards and 5 TDs. He also rushed 16 times for 173 yards and 2 scores. Remember, he completed 18 passes. Well, 11 of them went to Caleb Henderson, 122 yards for Caleb, 4 scores, 10, 12, 31, and 18 yards. And Elida defeats Shawnee 56-16.
St. Henry, Ryan Lutmer, he rushed the ball for 129 yards and 3 touchdowns. He caught a 70-yard touchdown pass. He kicked 4 PATs. He's a player. He does that every week, scores a lot of different ways, but he's a stat stuffer.
All right, on to St. Mary's and Shawnee. This is for the chance for St. Mary's to kind of put the league on ice a little bit. They typically run 4 backs with the football, but Sean Perry has 23 carries in this game, 210 yards, a 19-yard touchdown run. St. Mary's rushes for 368 yards. They're 7-0 in conference with 2 games left. they will at least tie and perhaps take the title outright before the season's over.
Ridgemont, L.J. Jackson, 20 carries, 212 yards, 3 TDs, and had a PAT run.
Well, we're going to get to Anna as well. We're going to talk about them in our preview a little bit later on. They defeated Parkway 42-6, partly because of Aiden Ensley, 13 carries, 178 yards, 2 scores for Aiden of 78 yards and 7. His team had rushes for 348. Anna's 7-1.
Let's talk about the Lima Senior High offense. Check this out. 775 total yards. One game, 775. They rushed it for 446. They threw it for 329. Adrian Mitchell, the quarterback, passed 17 of 24 for that 329 and 4 touchdowns. He ran the ball 13 times for another 174 and 2 more. 6 touchdowns in one game. That's a bunch.
That's a single game record total offense for a player at Lima Senior. Let's go on back to that Kenton and OG game. Jaron Sharp this time, 27 of 43, 369 yards, 3 TDs of 59, 6, and 13. He also rushed for a couple of TDs of 20 and 3. Remember last week we talked about how great OG's defense was playing, and they were, but Jaron Sharp shredded them. Kenton now 4-4, 4-3.
Here's a new name for you, Fort Recovery's Will Holman. It's our weekly Will Holman installment. 21 carries, 173 yards, 1 touchdown. He caught a ball for 29 yards. Mark and I saw him play. He made a bunch of tackles on defense. He returns kicks. He returns punts. He can play.
And for the first time this year, a player on a losing team gets our Solid Hustle Award winner. He did a great job. Sean Thomas from Lima Central Catholic. The Thunderbirds defeat Bluffton, Indiana 54-6. Sean rushed for 141 and 3 scores and also caught a touchdown pass. T-Birds rushed it for 338 total, and they defeat Bluffton, Indiana 54-6. Well, Mark, let's move on to our fun football fact this evening. And you and I have seen lots of homecomings this year, and we have a special one. In 1926, the homecoming queen at Ohio State University was Maudine Ormsby. Now, it's not typically polite to call the homecoming queen a heifer, but in this case, the homecoming queen was a heifer. Nominated by the Ohio State School of Agriculture, Miss Ormsby won the award for homecoming queen. Did not attend a dance, unfortunately. Probably couldn't find a bull to go with her. But if you go to Ohio, there's the poster that they put up honoring her or getting her nominated and elected. Maudine, also, if you go to Ohio State University, there is an Maudine cow room that you can actually go to at the OSU Union, and you can get that for 30 guests and have a little banquet in there if you choose to do that.
Okay, let's get back to real football now. Hey, on Sunday, the Saints scored 52 points, the Lions 38. That's 90 points in one game, and that begged the question, what is the highest scoring NFL game ever? Well, it was the Redskins and the Giants. 1966, they scored a total of 113. It was 72-41. And that's a bunch of points. Right there you see the final score on the scoreboard. They're racking them up. 72-41, 113 points. That's the most points ever scored in a regular NFL game.
All right, as we move into our Where Are They Now segment, we thought we'd take a look at a couple of the 3 coaches that were in our area that have kind of moved out of state and see how they're doing. Mike Mock, of course, is at Glendale, Missouri. His Falcons team are 5-4. The big note on them, guess what? They're scoring points. Averaging 44 points a game. In one game against Parkview on September 22nd, they won 69-58. The quarterback, Alex Houston, who of course is from this area, threw the football 87 times, completed 69 passes to 12 different receivers. 3 receivers had 12 catches or more, 822 yards, 9 scores. It's a Mike Mock team, isn't it? Offensively anyway. Jerry Cooper at Seymour, Tennessee, he struggled a little bit this year with the Eagles. They're 0-8. 5 of their losses have been for 8 points or less. They've got a couple of teams that have a very good records right now. Maybe a chance for Coach Cooper to get a couple wins. Mike Fell, I can't put the 2 names together.
Mike and Mike.
Mike Fell at Mesa Mountain View Toros. They're 4-4. They've got a couple teams that are also 4-4, 3-6. Mike Fell trying to get to a 6-4 record before the season's over.
All right, and we want to mention that Keith Wenning from Coldwater and Ball State and in many teams in the NFL, he is signed on with the Toronto Argonauts practice squad. There's Keith when he was at Coldwater High School. We wish him the best. He's one of our legends. was at our banquet and helps out with our camp. Good luck to Keith up in Toronto.
All right, there we go. And Mark, for our bright spot, you talked to a man down at Marion Local the other night, and he's got a bright spot story we really thought was interesting.
Well, we're standing there around the concession stand like Mark and I like to do. And a guy came up to us and said, hey, I really like your show. He says, as a matter of fact, I watch it every morning. His name is Tony Brewing, who is a relative of Sam, the quarterback at Coldwater. But anyway, he said, every morning I get up at 4 a.m. to milk the cows, and I watch the replay of your show. And he turned into one of our favorite guys. We went up and talked to him for a little while. So, hey, Tony, thanks a lot. And the rest of you guys down there milking cows, catch us on Mark and Mark.
There we go. Now, also, we've got a question. We've been talking about this dots on the face thing. We've got a picture.
Well, you took a picture of a couple of gals that helped us out down there at Marion Local, and there you see, they used yellow because their school colors are yellow and blue, and if they were blue, you'd see them a little easier even, but you can see them, it goes above one eye, down the nose, under the other eye, and we ask them, and I'm sorry, girls, I forgot to write your names down, but anyway, I said, what are those dots for? They said, I don't know. Well, who started it? We don't know. Why do you do it? We don't know. So it's just a school spirit thing. Everybody kind of jumps in, they paint their faces, and we're going to find out who started it and what it means. If you know, let us know. We got a tweet thing, right? They can tweet us.
Put it on Twitter. That's our question mark of the week. Our other question mark of the week, can you score points for your opponent?
Well, you can't score a touchdown. You know, in basketball, if two guys go up and tip it and the defender tips it and it goes in, it counts. Now, they give it to the closest offensive player, right? But anyway, in football, you cannot score a touchdown for the opposing team because it turns into a safety. Let's look at the most famous example of that, a fellow named Jim Marshall, an Ohio State grad. Here he is playing for the Minnesota Vikings. That's Billy Kilmer playing receiver for the 49ers. He fumbles. Marshall picks it up. He's going to run for a touchdown. His teammates are going, uh-oh, Jim, woo, you're going the wrong way. He ran 70 yards for what he thought was a touchdown. It turns into a safety, 2 points for the 49ers. That is a great play in the history of the NFL. But one of the cool things about this team right there, in 1964, their defensive front was known as the Purple People Eaters. Young kids have never heard that. The names on that, not only Jim Marshall, Alan Page, Hall of Fame, Carl Eller, Hall of Fame, Greg Larson, all four of those guys made the Pro Bowl. The Purple People Eaters were fierce. I mean, they just scared people. They were very, very good. And Billy Kilmer, who was the receiver on that play, ended up being traded the next year to the Saints and became a quarterback, and then several really good years with the Redskins as their quarterback, still wearing number 17. So that's wrong way Marshall.
How about that? And how many NFL defensive linemen become judges in the federal court system like Alan Page did and run marathons?
Yeah.
How about that? We need to get to our preview games. Let's go right now to Pandora-Gilboa and McComb as we look to a possible BVC championship game. These two teams both in Division 7, Region 26, so they could match up again at some point. McComb is number 2, PG is number 3. PG's offense, they're number 3 in the conference in scoring. How about this for balance? They rush it for 1,606 yards on the season. They've thrown it for 1,606 yards on the season. Jared Brees, of course, is their quarterback, 17 touchdowns. He's also run for 9 touchdowns. McComb, the number 2 scoring defense in the conference. McComb's offense, as always, number 1 in the conference. When we typically think of them, however, we think of McComb, they throw the football. This year, they lead the conference in rushing, 1,843 yards. They have 4 guys who've rushed between 370 yards and 561. Balance for McComb on the ground. They can run the football. Be a big game this week in the BVC.
Let's go to the Northwest Conference. Jefferson is 6-2, 4-1 in the league. Crestview 7-1, also 4-1 in the league. They're trying to stay up there with Spencerville. They're 5-0. Jefferson, they've won the last 4 Northwest Conference championships. Crestview's already clinched a playoff spot. For Jefferson, you got to look at Brennan Auer. He's the leading rusher in that conference. And for Crestview, Drew Klein accounts for 250 yards per game with run and pass, and Wade Sheets does everything. He plays great defense. He's also the leading receiver. So who can catch Spencerville? If Spencerville falters, they have Paulding, or Crestview has Paulding next week, week 10. Jefferson has Spencerville. So these last 2 weeks will determine the championship.
Big games, also things involving playoff points as well. Let's move to the MAC with Anna and Coldwater this week. They're both 7-1, both 7-1 for Anna, 6-2 for Coldwater. They're both 5-1 in conference play. Anna's in D5 Region 20. They're number 1 this week. Coldwater's in D6 Region 24. They're number 4. The computer says whoever wins this game is in the playoffs and probably will host a home game. Anna's quarterback, Travis Meyer, we know about him. He's had his knee injury. He's back playing again. 2 great running backs in Riley Hewellskamp and Aiden Ensley. They score 34 points a game. Coldwater, they score at 22 points a game, led by Sam Broering. Ben Wenning is their running back. If it comes down to a kicker game, Anna's got Robert Flynn. Coldwater's got Blake Dipple, 2 of the better kickers around.
Let's go to the NWCC. Perry, 5-0 in the league. Lehman, 5-0 in the league. This is for the league championship, I guess, huh? Lehman beat USV 55-0. They've won 3 of the last 5 championships in that league, but Perry got that big win over Riverside, looking for their first NWCC championship and their first playoff ever. Week number 10, Riverside is who Lehman plays. Elgin would be Perry's competition.
There you go. All right, well, once again, for 9th consecutive show, we've managed to overrun our 15 minutes. Let's put our broadcast schedule up and run through that real quickly. We'll have the guys in the booth upstairs run through that, and Mark and I will be back next week with another look at a closer look. You've been watching high school football on WOSN.